Hello, welcome to Heather and Hops. Whoa, that was weird. Hello and welcome to Heather and Hops. My name is Kat, or Catherine. I'm a knitter based in Hertfordshire in the United Kingdom, and this is my little space where I have documented my fibre journey thus far, whilst at the beginning kind of dreaming of building connections and ending up with a wonderful community. Thank you if you're new. It's lovely to introduce you to our little community here. If you've been here for a while, it's lovely to see you again. I hope this finds you very well. I have a peppermint in this lovely mug that I think I might have talked about in the bin recording. In the bin recording. This one was a cup that I made on a course I did 5 years ago, maybe. This was the first pinch pot I ever did. I think it was the last pinch pot I ever did, but I still am very impressed with my handle. I don't know, it's really smooth and it feels really nice, where the mug itself is very janky and cumbersome. But yes, I'm quite excited at the prospect of a peppermint. I'm actually still quite warm. I'll roll the sleeves up. I have just finished filming a workout video. If you've been here for a while, you'll know my little journey a little bit more, but I went from being a personal trainer and a yoga teacher to combining that with support work, and got very unwell and was unable to do any of that for about 3.5, nearly 4 years. And I am finally at a point where, whilst I am not where I was, I am able to do quite a lot more than I have been in a long time, and I'm very grateful. I think more than I ever was, even though I acknowledged where my body was progressing. I didn't just acknowledge the little things that I could do. So now I very much appreciate it and am sharing them with the world. I'll put a little link into that if you're interested. It's all free for now, and a kind of pay what you want situation while I find my voice and kind of get back into the flow. It is predominantly for fun. It is a predominantly alternative based situation where I am curating playlists, which has been a lot of fun. No judgment situation, playful, and I'm going to continue to try and make it more and more varied in the levels. I keep getting very excited and maybe making them a little bit more challenging, but with the option consistently to do other things. But that's just a thing that I'm doing, and that's why I think I've got a couple of really curly bits of hair because of it. But yeah, that's what I've just finished doing, and I had a lot of fun doing it. But I'm quite excited that I'm now sat here with peppermint tea chatting with you. So quite a change of pace, I'm not going to lie. The one that I just recorded was called Pop Punk Power Up, and I expected it to be fairly high energy, but it ended up being way more than I anticipated. Whoops. But yeah, let's talk about knitting. I am wearing a 1x1 ribbed hat that I knitted, that is my favourite hat. I used Let Lopi in the black heather, or black sheep heather. I think it's black sheep heather because it's got a bit of brown in it. It was improvised. I don't have good information on it, I'm afraid. And this one is with some dangly ends because I don't weave them all in. I like to think of it as spare yarn for darning when I ruin clothes, so I can keep them for longer and fix them. But this is a modified version of the Varpoo, which I'll put links to everything in the doodly doot below. But I've modified it to be a cardigan, and this, alongside the jumper that I knitted in these yarns, are basically if you could have a knitted sweatshirt, or that's what this is. I wear these two items week in, week out. You're probably bored of seeing them if you've been here for a while, but they're still clinging on. They're doing well. They are pulling like absolute bonkers because it is drops alpaca silk, and it just the alpaca just felts and then just turns into pills very easily. Held with, I think it's drops in a pool. I can't quite remember. I believe it is drops in a pool. But yeah, it's lasted well considering how hard wearing I am on it, and the shape hasn't adjusted too much, which was surprising considering I knitted it at such a loose gauge. To modify it, I think I just cast on a few extra stitches. When you're working from the shoulders down to do the increases for the neck, instead of joining and casting on the amount of stitches, I ended up dividing that amount by 2 and then adding a couple and then knitting backwards and forwards and then adding a button band without the button band, so just a ribbing. And I love it. Yeah, that's that. I have a lot and nothing all at the same time, if that makes sense. I've got quite a few finished objects, but they're all not in my normal wheelhouse. And the only one that is in my wheelhouse, sadly, is a failure, which will be fun to show you, because I don't think I've shown you a failure in a while. But I'll show you this one first. This is a pattern that I've knitted 3 times now. Sorry, this is really good. I urge you, if you need a hot drink or a beverage of sorts, to pause me and go and get one and enjoy it. And if you've got one, please don't forget about it. Enjoy it. And this is from this Pom Pom. I keep referring it to as a version, but it's edition 40 of Pom Pom. And it's actually the one on the back, so this is the Cloud Bow by Reed Keys, I believe it is, and I bookmarked it. It was quite good today, or last time I recorded, I should say, because I did record this before, so I'll do my best. I've knitted the dress version twice, but this time I knitted the top, so more like this, and I did kind of go with colours that they did in the sample, but went totally off piste because I knitted it previously in a single strand of mohair, and I loved that. For me, it was in a dark, almost black khaki green with a green collar and hem and cuffs. And then I decided to knit it for a wedding using pinks and greens, and I held it double because I wanted to use up bits and pieces that I had, but I didn't want it to be stripy, so by holding 2 colours together at a time I could change one and kind of marl it and fade it a little bit. So I opted for that technique on this one. I'll show you it. And here she is. I've already had the pleasure of trying this on and I love it. It's not for me, it's a gift. But there's some gorgeous yarn in here, and I think you can tell that it's not quite block stripes and it's not just like scrappy stripes. It's sort of a little bit considered. For this project and the other one that I knitted in this way, I committed to only knitting it in the daylight. I didn't knit it in the evening when it was getting dark, or even today where it's a bit grey, overcast, and I couldn't quite see properly. The house we live in is surprisingly dark considering it's got a couple of skylights. We're just sort of encaged by everyone, if you will. But yeah, so I did try and be very careful with the placement of colours. So I wanted it to be random, but not ugly random. I hope I've achieved it. So let's do the old hug situation. So there is some beautiful yarns in here, and I don't have almost anything left of a lot of these. So the sort of tealy colour here is Moonstone by A Knitter's Homestead on the mohair base. I've got a bit of, this is Drops mohair going on And there's a Drops alpaca lace, which isn't a brushed alpaca lace, it's like a quite finely spun lace weight yarn that I held through quite a lot of this. That was really lovely, and it's what I use to reinforce my heels and toes when I'm doing no nylon socks at the moment. I haven't knitted them for a while, but I'm quite looking forward to some sock knitting, to be honest. There's a tiny little bit of one of my first mohairs. This is Smoke from Spectrum Fibre, which is gorgeous. I used it to knit my soiree. Spectrum Fibre usually does quite neon and speckled, so this was quite a fun find for me. I think that's really it. Most of it is sort of drops and bits that I had. I think the grey is Drops alpaca. So there's slightly different weights in here, but I think it works. It's not obvious that it's totally different weights, and yeah, I'm really happy. I'm really happy with it. So if you've been here for a while, you've heard me explain this a few times, but this is a really good item if you are interested in starting to knit garments, but you're nervous. There is a few different techniques that you need to know to be able to do this. Knit and purl, increases, and picking up stitches, and that is really it. I think if you knit the collar and hem as recommended, you will need to be able to pick up stitches and knit them together, if I remember rightly. But I just did an I-cord, which is a very easy technique to do. Knitting two together is the only additional technique you'd need to know. So really, a super good pattern for learning to knit or being a bit braver about doing garments. And with the sizing on this, it's so oversized that really it would be amazing if it went wrong. It's so oversized that if you knit it at a tighter gauge than you thought you'd got from your swatch, you'd be fine, and if you knit it at a looser gauge, it'd probably be fine too. I am not the swatch police, by the way, and the front panel and the back panel are fairly small, and because they're at the gauge that they are, makes a great gauge swatch, just saying. So you knit the front panel and the back panel separately, and then you pick up stitches all the way up one side and down the other to join them together, essentially. And then you knit backwards and forwards flat for a bit until you join the underarms and knit the sleeves in the round. And then you pick up under the arms and under the front panels and just knit in the round. Do some increases and there you go. It's pretty simple, but it's a lovely piece. I think it's going to look gorgeous on the new owner. These are kind of the colours that I associate with her when she is in a good place. Kind of like the sea and nature, or mohair. Such is life. So I'm really excited to send it over to her and to see her wearing it, hopefully. And she has a job where she can wear what she wants, but I just imagine this with the knitted vest she's just finished, looking like really cool, smart casual. And these items I also think are wonderful for dressing up and dressing down, because this could be absolutely worn with, in my opinion, a sweater of joggers, or sweatpants, and everyone would think you're dressed up, and you could wear it really fancy or really not. So I like this sort of item. Yeah, beautiful. But while I was talking, I'll talk to you, not over there. While I'm talking about Pom Pom, I'll quickly share these again, just because my preview issue came in the post. So I had the pleasure of preview knitting the Reduplicate shorts, which are photographed beautifully in this magazine. I will eventually knit a top, but I think I'm only going to do the lace on the bottom and then knit it into a tank top. We'll see. But I got to preview knit these, and I knitted this green pair, which I think are one of the most fun items, and it's not been that warm this year. Summer? Are you ever going to show up? I know that summer doesn't happen for another 2 weeks, but usually we have a few really hot days and I don't feel like we have yet. But these have been amazing because of it. Great with tights, great without, very comfortable and quite good with my pink cloud bow. But these are knitted using Iona's 4-ply. Gorgeous wool, absolutely lovely. If you don't like toothy yarn, it's not for you, but I think it's lovely. I'm very happy with this next to skin. It bloomed beautifully. But yeah, the shorts themselves are brilliant. They are quite clever in the construction and the shaping. They fit me very, very well. I didn't expect them to fit as well as they do. And the only thing I will do is when I've worn them, I have taken to safety pinning one end of the I-cord to the belt bit. I don't know what I should call it. To the waistband, that's it. To stop it moving. I think I just like to have them, I'm a bit nervous maybe, and I do them up quite tight and sometimes it lifts up above the waistline. So I will either sew that in on one end and then just tie it from there, or just continue to do the safety pin thing. It works. But they fit beautifully. I can't obviously talk about the sizing at any others, but for me these have fit amazing and the pockets are an absolute touch. But yeah, since I helped with preview knit them, they very kindly sent me a copy, and there was a couple of things that I was going to share that are just quite cool. Like, I don't want to give the pattern away, but there's a summer crochet bag. It's very cool. It's not just knitting, and I just think it's quite cool. There is also, it's all just quite beautiful. This one a bit sort of love note, ranunculus, if you enjoy a textured yoke. And obviously this back cover, this jumper is absolutely amazing too. I would quite like to do it in black and greys with a green pop. But yeah, I just thought I'd share it while I had it. It is the 10th anniversary edition, and I think it's a bit bigger than normal. So if that would bother you in your Pom Pom collection, that's also something to know. I think that's my 4th issue in as many years as I've been knitting. Just under, but yeah, this issue is my favourite ever for the kind of garments that are in there. So this is lovely. And I'm very grateful that I've got a pattern for these, because whilst I don't need another pair and I won't be knitting them again anytime soon, I do imagine that it will be nice to have that as an option for gift knitting, because they're really fun to knit. Just scared little Audrey. Do you want to come and say hello? No, she wants her dinner. I paused you because there's a chance that this story that is maybe not worth telling will become a long one. So I went to a celebration of a couple of friends who got married last year, and because they had to postpone their wedding, they had a little gathering, and I ended up wearing a bucket hat. This is said bucket hat, and this bucket hat has been passed back and forth between its original owner and myself. I think this is the 3rd time. It keeps being taken back and returned and then being gifted back. I don't know why. I really like it. It's very practical. I decided that when I didn't own it, I was given this Saturday. So last Saturday, I decided to make this. So I sent a message to the original owner and was like, hey, I know that I gave it back to you and I should have taken measurements when it was in my custody, but have you got your hat to measure? And the person was actually away, so I sent a message cheekily to someone on, it was on a second-hand website, saying, do you mind if you could measure it? I measured it, and I did end up knitting myself. Well, not really for me. I wanted to knit everyone going to this event we're going to a fun hat, and I'll show you more fun hats. I just wanted to have a collection that we could wear when we're out and spot each other, potentially. We'll see if it happens, but I just thought it would be a really fun idea. These two yarns, I don't know what this is, but it is a suri in a very fun speckled colourway. And then this one is Audrey. That's not helpful. You sausage. But this colour is called Daydreaming, I believe, by Biff Sugar Yarns, and I use this to knit my Spiritual Guardian jumper. Not the cowl, but the jumper. It's beautiful. And kind of silly that I put it with this, but I think it really worked. This is Merino Singles, and can you not? You can come and join us. Yeah. Suri Alpaca and Merino Singles. So they were held together throughout. And so I did sort of wing it slightly. I had a guess where my gauge would go, and because I knew what the circumference needed to be, I knew what the radius should be, and then kind of knit it as I went, knowing some of the measurements. It isn't quite as, let's face it, and this is a bit cooler. But I still thought it was really fun, and it took me 2 evenings to knit. Let's put my beanie back on. This is where I belong, isn't it? Like this. It took 2 evenings to knit, and I did really enjoy it. I don't know if I would change this one, to be honest, and if I was to knit it in Suri Alpaca and the singles again, or a fingering weight yarn, I'd probably knit it the same. I'm thinking I might adjust the technique slightly. I'm not sure, and try it again. But all I did was knitted a circle, turned it down, knitted flat, and then increased and did an I-cord. Very happy with it. I've written my notes in case other people would be interested in my silly bucket hat. But I did start to knit it again. And this is where I failed. Not because actually it worked. But as you can see, I started to unpick it, and sadly my patience for the first time ever just wore thin. So I ended up clipping it rather than undoing it properly. And I have, as you can see, started to undo it properly. But I no longer have the right amount of yarn left to finish it. You can come and say hi as penance for distracting me. Little Maya is an absolute terror today. You're just having a little bit of a ruckus, aren't you? We had my parents visit with their big 50-kilo dog, and she was standing her ground and being a bit mean. She was hissing at her and everything when she absolutely had no right to be. Did you, Audrey? You were being princess. So sadly, I don't have the yarn to finish this anymore. But the reason that I undid it is because my gut knew not to do final increases. But for some reason I didn't trust my gut, which is something I should never do. Always trust your gut, or at least my gut. My gut is way more sensible than my brain. So I did an extra set of increases, and it went ripply rather than sitting a bit flatter, which is how I wanted it. So sadly, whilst this one I think was going to be really good, I'm not going to be able to finish it. And there's part of me that's like, yeah, maybe you should just get another skein of, this is the Boucle by Drops, because I've got plenty of the whole Super Soft, which is what I held it with. But I don't know that I want to buy any more Boucle, because then I'll have another, I don't know, 100 metres of it that I don't have any plans for it, and I'd rather not buy it if I don't have the plan for it when it comes to nylon-y stuff. But it's really fun. It would have been really good, and I am a little bit sad, I'm not going to lie, that the black slightly fluffy bucket hat is not going to be something in my life. But I will undo it and I will reuse the yarn for something else, just not a bucket hat. But yes, so that is a failure, but I think this is great. It's a shame that the last recording that I did of this didn't work out, because I can't remember what I shared, but I tell you what, I was howling with laughter, and I don't really know why. Maybe it's just because this is really quite a funny concept. I do feel like it should be something in Clueless, or I don't know. It's like the 90s thing that I never owned and didn't quite exist. I reckon that if in the 90s I knew about hand-dyed yarn and fluffy hand-dyed yarn, I would have worn a lot more fun things. Okay, it's really funny, isn't it? Just put it away. So I'm only sharing finished objects today. Go figure. This one I finished ages ago and out of my wheelhouse. But like I said, I really wanted to do a selection of hats to take with me to an event we're going to, where I kind of am getting the impression now we won't get lost, because there's one stage, not multiple. But I found this yarn and I thought, oh yes, this is perfect for being spotted in a crowd. You're not going to, unless you're, really, really small. I'm quite small, like a hobbit. But if I put this on one of our taller friends' heads, they will be like a little honing beacon for us. So this is knitted using Sunglasses Are Needed by Dinah's Home of Crafts, and I purchased this a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, for a gift. Said gift never happened, and I'm glad it didn't, because it wouldn't have got worn by the owner. Well done, Kat. But I used there's a mohair base and a sock base in here, but I did hold the mohair triple and the fingering weight, no, double here and triple with the fingering weight, and then double, single here and quadruple for the first bit of the brim. You might be able to tell it's just slightly brighter. The mohair mutes it more up a little bit here. You sort of see it. This is where there's only one strand of mohair in it, and then this is where there's two, and it's a lot more fuzzy. So it was a really simple sort of one-day hat that also I had the intention of writing up as just a really fun, quick project, but turns out that bigger project that I'm working on, quietly-ish, because now I've told you, so it's quietly-ish in the background. I am gonna. This has been useful for that, and I can't wait to share this project with you. Hopefully, this week or next week we will have a lot more time to dig into this project and think about how we're going to start telling y'all about it. But I'm quite excited. This project has given me lots of inspiration and a lot of enthusiasm, which I'd been lacking a little bit. I'd been quite burnt out on knitting. I think I've spoken about it, and I think that's for many reasons, being unable to do a lot else other than knitting for a long time, and then instead of just knitting a couple of hours or an hour a day, it was a lot more, and now that's totally changed, and is changing and evolving, and I wonder where we'll be in a year's time, but hopefully I will still be doing this, because this is This is my fave. But yes, so this is going to be for that project. And sort of. Diners Homocraft, sunglasses are needed, and they are. Super fun. Super easy. Okay, I saved the biggest till last. Not just because I can't figure out how on earth I'm going to show it to you. I might have to change your lens so you can see more. But I'll show you it for now. I'll see how we get on. But it's done. If you've been here for a little while, I think maybe just over a year. I hope you couldn't hear our neighbours discussing dinner. Wow. But you will have seen this is the coziest memory blanket, and it's a free pattern on Ravelry. And I have made some modifications for various reasons. Yeah, I'm going to come back and give you a... So the centre section of all the little squares, so the bits that look like Elmer the elephant, that is the pattern. And we ended up knitting 100 squares. Alex said he would do lots more, and bless him, he only really got time for 2. Audrey is already trying to jump on. Yeah, this isn't for you. Okay, hold please. Oh no, no honey, it's not for you. Oh no. Oh, okay, wow. That's yours now. Is that really for you? And you're not even going to look at us. The audacity. Okay. Well, it is what it is. Okay. So maybe I'll just... Can I shuffle you? That's it. Come on then. Can we share these? Can we share? That's it. Well done, Trouble. So we did 100 squares, and I think I knit it using 3.25mm needles. So you can come and sit on my lap, and I can talk while you're on here. That's fine. Do you want to come up? There you go. So, the Coziest Memories blanket, let's not get distracted too much. I knit it using 3.25mm needles rather than, I think it's 3 or 2.75 that was recommended. I quite liked the fabric that I got. I don't know if my tension got a bit tighter over the last few years. I always say that it has. I do believe it has. But I liked the fabric. It's a little bit, it's got drape, but it's also got structure. This is great because you're not seaming anything. There is ends to weave in, but I did do all mine. I definitely recommend doing them as you go if you can, if you don't enjoy weaving in ends. If you do you know what? I had a great time doing 60 ends. I think it's double that, isn't it? Because there's the start and the end, so it's like 120 ends in one go. But it was fun, you know? I quite enjoyed the process. But yeah, Alex was going to help, and it was going to be... We were aiming to do a double or king-size bed size blanket, and we just didn't have time, and other projects didn't become a priority, but just other projects happened. So I decided to... I won't use the word cheat, because I think a knitting machine is much like a sewing machine. Yes, it makes life easier if you understand it, but you've got to learn the skill to use it. Does that make sense? It's a tool, it's not a cheating device. I think people that can make jumpers and skirts and things on a sewing machine are incredibly skilled. And I did this edging on my knitting machine, and I don't think it was cheating. So what I ended up doing was, this is quite a hefty thing. So I picked up stitches and then knitted each section separately and then seamed them together. So when I got to a corner, I did end up picking up stitches. I think this one, I picked up stitches here and then added it on. So I only had to seam this bit. But I tell you what, it's a lot of seaming. I managed to do it so none of these colours touched, which was quite a challenge because this did actually use up quite a lot of yarn. But it's so much fun. I also ended up doing an I-cord bind off, which could have been the death of me if I didn't enjoy doing I-cord so much. It was a bit of a labour of love towards the end, but I did it and I'm happy. I think it's come out really great. So yeah, if you are knitting a blanket for someone and slightly worried that it's not going to be done on time, a knitting machine is a wonderful tool. And I do think a lot more people have them than I even knew about. And I think they're quite accessible too. I think there's a lot of guilds and places that have them available. So really easy to borrow, and there are quite a lot of beginner courses available, and there's quite a bit of content on YouTube. So if it's something you're interested in, they are fairly affordable too. Mine, I think, might have been £50, which at the time and right now seems like a lot of money. But I mean, how many hours and hours and hours did I save by knitting these on the machine? I don't even I don't want to think about it. And yeah, and I really want to do another one of these blankets, whether I do the same one or maybe a Dungeons and Dragons blanket, I'm not sure. But I just think a blanket like this is a really fun project to have on the needles because you always have something. This in particular, the Coziest Memories, because there was no seaming and nothing difficult, it was just like, I don't know, it was gentle knitting. It didn't take any brain capacity. The biggest thing was choosing what colour to go next, and quite frankly, we did a lot of, no, that doesn't work. Oh, that works. So I think it's a great option for that. And yeah, I don't often now get panicky about having to have things on my needles. Like I said, I'm in quite a different place. I'm trying actively to wear everything throughout the week, not just knitwear. I am actually wearing Jessie May's secret little crop under here, this and this. So it's not that I'm adverse to wearing my knits at all. I love them. But I just don't want it to be like I spoke about it last week, but where I was maybe Kat the sick one in my head, I'd moved into being just Kat the knitter. And I'm not. I'm multifaceted just like you are. But it's a big part of my life, so I'm not going to get rid of it. If that makes sense, I'm not saying I don't want it. It's just like, I just need to create a level of boundary with it, which is quite healthy. But on the talk of blankets, I'm actually wearing one today. This isn't going into it because it works as a t-shirt. But I found some of I knew where they were, but I dug out a lot of my old band t-shirts, and a lot of them sadly have disappeared, got lost, been borrowed forever. But I've got quite a few band t-shirts, and when I was younger, I had dreams of framing them all and having them up my staircase. That's not going to happen. It's just not. So my other option was to turn them into a blanket, and at the time I didn't want to because I wanted the option to be able to wear them. I still think that it would be a shame not to wear them, but I have cut up and abused quite a lot of my t-shirts to the point where they're really not wearable. So if I can turn them into patches for a blanket, I'd be very happy. And what I envisage being able to do, whether it is or not, sewists, quilters, support would be welcomed. What I hope to do is to knit a square on the machine that's the same size as the patch that I cut out of the t-shirt, and use scraps of the t-shirts too if I need to make the patch bigger because I've accidentally cut into it or something, and then sandwich some wool in between, some fibre, and then eventually sew them all together. We'll see. I don't know what will happen yet, and whether I will maybe get a big bit of cotton and then sew them directly onto it so there's a bit more structure or what. But I really want to make a band t-shirt blanket and a knitted blanket. It would be the ultimate amalgamation of both halves of me, even though there's more than just two halves of me, but quite big parts of me. So I'm thinking that's a project that I want to start very soon. Yeah. But this is finished, and I can't believe it's done. It has been a long time coming, and it feels good, I don't think I've ever worked on a project this big for this long. I haven't blocked this, but that's going to happen today. I didn't want to show you it wet. I just thought that would be a bit rubbish. So I am going to go and do that, and I think I have become a lot braver. I was not using my washing machine for a long time to wash my knits. I quite like doing my hand knits, but I must say at the moment I haven't really felt like I've had the time. So I've been putting them in pillowcases, but this has been through. I have been using the hand wash setting on my washing machine, and it's been amazing. So I'm going to do that. Oh. That's a reminder for something that I don't think's on, but I think that must be my call to say, right, finish it here, stop waffling, in case I do have something I have to go and do. I hope you're well. I hope to get to some spinning now this project's done and my gifts are all knitted. I did also knit a pure mesh pullover by James N. Watts, but I don't have it with me. It's already been gifted, so I won't talk about it. But yeah, I'm excited to do some spinning. I'm hoping to cast on a few fun little projects. I'm craving colour work. I'd really like to do some colour work, and I think I know what I'm going to do. What else? Yeah, I went to Slam Dunk this weekend. I had a lot of fun. I'll talk a little bit about that if anyone wants to stay for it. But the Leeds one was so much better in the new venue. It's at Temple Newson, and I have done both North and South quite a few times. I did Hatfield quite a few times when I was a lot younger, and then when I was at uni I ended up doing Leeds, and so I've been to both quite a few times. But the last time I went to Leeds Slam Dunk, it was a bit of an ordeal to see the bands that I wanted when the clashes were happening. It's a alternative festival, one-day event, a lot of sort of pop punk, metalcore, ska. It's a great punk rock festival. It's our miniature answer to what Warped Tour was on the tiniest, teeniest scale. guess that's a good way to describe it. And yeah, so I remember queuing for half an hour to get in to see a band, seeing them for 10 minutes and having to already move. Whereas this time, even when the Clashes were on, I saw 2 more bands than I anticipated seeing, which is just nuts because that meant that I saw every single band on my list, and I expected honestly to be a bit bummed out and only see half, but it was good. It was really good. I can't believe that I saw as many as I did. I can't believe how nice, again, and maybe it's my perspective, but the crowd was so lovely. There was a real sense of joy and togetherness, and I don't talk online about toilets, but there was 5-minute queues for the toilet and the bar. Like, there was no waiting for anything. It was just flowing. It was so good. There was, on the rock scene stage, I think it was, one of the stages had a little bit of sound clash, but if you went to the other side of the tent, it was totally fine, and there was enough room within it. So it was like, oh, I can hear that band. Oh, actually, I'm just going to waddle over here. Oh, it's fine. It sounds great. So it was really fun. And yeah, I didn't realise that there would be so many knitters there. I did get the pleasure of meeting someone. I didn't get their name very briefly, but hello if you're here. Sorry I'm so weird and awkward. Thank you for saying hello. It meant quite a lot. It set the festival off to quite a good place. But there was quite a few other knitters that I didn't realise were there that I must have sort of marched past when I was marching to see my bands. I did split off from our little group a couple of times because music. I just needed to go and see some of the bands that, for various reasons, whether it's unlikely that I'm going to get to see them again, or I'd seen the band that they were watching and I really wanted to go and watch someone that I wouldn't have the chance to see. But yeah, had a really good time. And yeah, saw a lot of bands that I really didn't think I'd get to see. But anyway, I hope there's a little bit of nature footage for you. I hope that you're doing well and that things are bringing you some joy, whether that's your making, whether that's music, moving, beverages. My peppermint is now going to be cold, but I will drink cold peppermint any day of the week. It's good. I can attest, it is still good. Yeah. Don't forget to love each other, and I hope to see you again very soon. Hopefully I'll be less chaos next time.